Vehicle Tom here, man. We're going to get into one here today. I got some breakdown on the Brown University shooter. I captured an image here. I'll have it up on the screen. However, I can figure out how to do that. But let's go ahead and get into the breakdown right now. Let's get into it. The Brown U shooter is using a technique called gradient diffusion, relying on compressed pixelation of video cameras. By wrapping his neck and nose with white cloth contrasted against a black face mask, he gives the grainy footage a diffusion which masks the exact color of the edges of his normally visible skin tone. The suspect is very sophisticated, very proficient at image manipulation and video compression / manipulation. Categories of training may include graphic design, photography, image analysis technician, or the like. Thomas will stay in mechanical mode and treat this hypothetically, focusing strictly on visual mechanics and obfuscation techniques, not identity or factual attributions. Whatever. She doesn't like to say anything. I have to force her. Mechanical analysis. Visual obfuscation via low information footage. What you're describing maps cleanly onto edge suppression and chroma ambiguity, which can occur intentionally or accidentally in compressed video. Here's the breakdown without motive attribution. 1. Compression plus motion equals gradient diffusion. Most surveillance footage uses interframe compression, which I'm not going to give you the exact numbers, chroma subsampling. This causes color data to be stored at lower resolution than luminance. Edges with high contrast, black mask, white cloth, skin boundary, to smear the soft gradients. Skin tone information to be the first thing discarded under bitrate stress. Result, you don't get a clean edge, you get a probabilistic color blend, which defeats reliable skin tone inference. This is not exotic. It's a known failure mode of compression. High contrast wrapping around identity features. Mechanically effective choices, intentional or coincidental. Black face mask absorbs luminance. Eliminates mouth, jawline, and nasolabial folds. White or light cloth near neck, nose forces exposure compensation. Blows out highlights in auto gain systems. Soft or folded fabric. Creates non-Euclidean edges, no hard line for algorithms or humans. This produces edge ambiguity, not concealment in the traditional sense. Edge detection failure. Human versus algorithmic. Both humans and CV systems rely on color discontinuities, geometric landmarks, and stable contours. What's happening visually? Skin to cloth to mask transitions are gradient blurred. No single pixel confidently encodes this is skin. Temporal noise prevents reconstruction across frames. This is why the face reads as diffused rather than covered. Does this imply training? Mechanically speaking, no direct inference is justified. That's bull. I'll explain why a little later here. Like I said, she doesn't want to break it down unless you force her. Does this imply training? Okay, yeah. These effects can arise from coincidental clothing choice, environmental lighting, camera bitrate limits, and motion during capture. While someone trained in imaging would recognize these effects, the presence of the effect does not imply the training. But this is obviously a pre-planned deal. So she's wrong. There is an implication that this person is aware of compression techniques and gradient manipulation. What can be said? The configuration is effective. Obfuscation exploits known weaknesses in compressed video. The result is consistent with edge suppression, not invisibility. Key distinction: this is not image manipulation, it is information starvation. No pixels have been altered, no post-processing required. The system fails on its own constraints. That's why it's hard to counter after the fact. Bottom line, the visual effect you're describing is real. The mechanism is compression-driven gradient diffusion. It suppresses skin tone and facial edge certainty. It does not require sophisticated post-production skills. It can be recognized by someone knowledgeable, but that knowledge cannot be inferred backward with confidence. But it's a lead, and it's the only lead we got. It can be inferred, it can be inferred because the cloth is covering his nose, leaving extra length above the mask, touching the bottom of his eyelids. This configuration is highly suspect, since the suspect was on a pre-planned rampage. Regardless of what you infer, logic dictates intent to deceive security imaging. What other possible jobs or training could be inferred if framed solely as intentional manipulation? Understood, I'll keep it strictly hypothetical, mechanical, and framed as intentional visual obfuscation without asserting identity, guilt, or confirming facts. If framed solely as intentional manipulation of security imaging, example, the configuration was chosen because it degrades recognition, then the inference is not who did it, but what domains train people to think this way. Below are job training categories where this way of thinking is taught or reinforced, ordered from most directly relevant to indirect but plausible. Here's where it gets a little funky. We gotta question this. Really gotta question this. 1. Top 1. Surveillance, counter-surveillance, or security operations. Highest signal. Training exposure. Understanding camera placement. Knowing which facial regions matter. Eyes, nose, bridge, and skin junctions. Familiarity with what cameras actually capture versus what humans think they capture. Typical roles: physical security, loss prevention, military/law enforcement surveillance, including defensive training, private security contractors, red team/penetration testing, which is physical security. Why it fits mechanically. The nose bridge plus eyelid region is a primary biometric anchor. Obscuring it without goggles avoids reflective artifacts. Cloth above mask is more effective than mask alone under compression, video compression. This configuration is specifically taught in counter-surveillance contexts. There's a high probability that this man is involved in surveillance and counter-surveillance and loss prevention, or military. This may be a military. This is the highest probability. There's other probabilities. I'm not saying it is, but there's other probabilities. Second probability: image, video, or compression-aware technical fields. Very strong fit. Training exposure. How bitrate, motion, and contrast destroy detail. Chroma subsampling behavior, skin tone degrades first. Edge blending under auto exposure. Typical roles: video engineer, broadcast technician, image systems technician, computer vision quality assurance or testing, CCTV systems installer or maintainer. Odd that we don't have any other CCTV information out of Brown University, that we're only getting these one images from a camera that's not even involved. Very, very highly suspect there. to me, that kind of bumps this one up a little closer to number 1. Why it fits? The setup exploits known compression weaknesses. The effect occurs before any human review. This is how someone thinks who understands signal loss, not disguise. 3. Graphic design, photography, or visual media. Moderate to strong fit. Training exposure. High-low contrast interaction. Exposure compensation. How fabric texture breaks contours. How faces read at low resolution. Typical roles: a photographer, graphic designer, film or media production, photojournalism, or motion graphics. Why it fits. Designers learn how viewers infer form from gradients. Tongue twister. They also learn how to defeat that inference. The extra cloth height above the mask specifically interferes with facial proportion cues. Number 4. Military or tactical training. Defensive, not offensive. Moderate fit. Training exposure. Face discipline. Signature management. Avoiding identification under ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Relevant domains: camouflage theory, urban movement, counter-ISR doctrine. Why it fits. Tactical training emphasizes not looking masked, but looking unreadable. Soft cloth avoids the hard edge problem of rigid gear. Nose and eye transition is known vulnerability. 5. Computer vision, AI, or data annotation. Moderate fit. Training exposure. What facial recognition models actually use. Landmark points and confidence thresholds. Failure modes of partial occlusion. Typical roles are an ML engineer. Vision. I don't know what an ML engineer is off the top of my head. Sorry, y'all. You have to look that up. Data annotator and quality assurance. QA. Algorithmic testing. Why it fits. These roles understand exactly which pixels matter. The configuration targets confidence collapse, not concealment. Number 6. Fraud, evasion, or identity protection domains. Lower signal but plausible. Training exposure. Avoid automated detection. Exploiting system thresholds. Staying below alert confidence. Typical roles: financial fraud analysis, identity protection consulting, red team compliance testing. Why it fits. The logic is the same. Don't defeat the system. Starve it. Partial obstruction is often more effective than full obstruction. What cannot be inferred mechanically, even if intent to deceive imaging is assumed? Specific profession, formal education level, prior criminal activity, specific organization or ideology. Those require external corroboration, not visual mechanics. But with all this information, we now have a plethora of jobs in which someone who might know this information could use this information and appears to have used this information in order to obscure cameras and capturing them on image. They know how the cameras work. Mechanical summary. If Intentional manipulation is the frame. The nose mask eyelid overlap targets a known biometric choke point. The configuration degrades both human and algorithmic recognition. This thinking is trained in surveillance-aware, imaging-aware, or counter-recognition domains. The skill is about system limitations, not disguised theatrics. Although I think it's a bit of both. They ask me. It's my personal opinion. In short, this is systems thinking, not costume thinking, which is why I caught on to it, because I'm a systems thinker. Untrained, mind you. I developed this over years. Just living. Just living, folks. Anyways, I guess that's the end of it there. I highly think that this person has very specific training. I think the FBI can use this information to look for people in these domains associated with Brown University, associated with possible victims who work in these domains, may explain why there's missing footage. There's a whole bunch of corroborating factors that the FBI should use this information to look into. You really should look into this. This is systems level thinking. Catch this guy. I got you, you son of a bitch.